Councilman Mills.
Here.
Councilman Pauly.
Here.
Councilman Reese.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fasenelli.
Present.
And Mayor Barnett is absent this evening.
Okay. Today, if I can ask Mr. Freshy to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
There it is. Please join me in pledging this. We have a unique honor, and that is to be able to do this. So join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, if I can ask everyone in the audience to please turn off their cell phones or at least silence them so we're not interrupted, that would be wonderful. We welcome you to this meeting and we encourage all of your participation. If you wish to speak for an item on the agenda, please approach the podium, and at that time that the item is being considered, after you're recognized, state your name and address prior to providing your comments. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes in most cases, and if you wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, please do so during the period listed under oral communications. Our first presentation is from Republic Services, and we have Dan Kapner and a special guest.
So, Honorable Mayor and City Council members, we're here for a couple of reasons tonight. But before we kind of get into that, my name is Dan Kapner. I'm the General Manager from Republic Services, and we are your waste and recycling service provider and community partner. And we are thrilled and honored to be just that, a partner with the community. And we're going to present a check to the city tonight. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is introduce the newest member of our education and public outreach team. And hopefully he'll come up without destroying the furniture to you tonight. And this is Murphy the robot. And Murphy, again, is our advocate out in the community, does a lot of public education and outreach. And Murphy, can you tell the City Council a little bit about yourself?
Why, yes, Dan. I'd be delighted to. Hello. My name is Murphy. I work for Public Services. I am a robot made of recyclable material like fence posts, computer parts, and cameras. My job is to kick recycling into high gear in your community.
So Murphy, can you tell us a little bit about how you do that? What do you do in the community?
I'm teaching students why it's important to reduce waste and protect our planet. I go to schools, libraries, and community events to teach students how to recycle newspapers, cardboard, cans and bottles. We watch videos, dance, and cheer. And in the end, the students take a pledge to recycle today. We also give tours of our Eco Center. Why, just last month, the 6th graders from Villa Park Elementary School came on a field trip of the Eco Center. It's lots of fun.
Murphy, I remember that tour. That was really cool. I saw on the agenda tonight that the community is going to be talking about a neighborhood watch program, and I know that we have a program called We're Looking Out for You. Can you tell the City Council a little bit about our program?
Why, yes, Dan. We're looking out for you is a crime prevention and safety program that enlists the active participation of our drivers in cooperation with law enforcement and emergency services to reduce crime and maintain neighborhood safety. Our drivers provide
cool, Murphy. Now, City Council, you might think that that was all programmed in, and to prove that it wasn't, do you have any questions of Murphy? He can actually respond to questions. Do you have maybe a question about a service or recycling or something you'd like to ask Murphy?
I have one.
Okay.
Murphy, what trash can should I put my plastic milk jug in?
So Murphy, the question was from the Mayor Pro Tem, what trash cart should she put her
The plastic milk jug.
plastic milk jug in? Which container?
Good question, Mayor. The part that needs to be used is the recycle green part.
Cool. Any other questions for Murphy?
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
I would like to know what Villa Park's current diversion rate is.
I don't know if Murphy knows that, but I'll ask.
Oh, I thought you said he would.
We'll see. We'll see. If he-
Okay.
Murphy, do you have an idea what the diversion rate is here in Villa Park? Deborah,
The
you,
diversion rate. Well, residents do a great job at recycling and diverting waste. They are over 60%.
Wow.
well, that,
Intelligent.
Congratulations to the city, that's great.
Murphy,
I
just learned something.
I think we're probably higher than 60%, but that's
Pretty-
You're welcome.
thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you, Murphy. Thank you so much. And the second reason we're here is to present a check to the city for community programs. So we'd like to go ahead and present the check for approximately $6,100 to the city of Villa Park for community programs. And so
That is wonderful,
we
though.
go.
Thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. Can we have a picture with the council on the check? Okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's actually for the foundation, yeah. Oh, boy.
oh, okay.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Ready? Recycle today. 1, 2, 3. Recycle today.
Thank you, everybody.
Who made that?
That money actually will go to our Villa Park Community Service Foundation, which offers all of our programs within the city, and they thank you. There isn't a representative here today, but that's where that will go to, and it goes to all of our picnics, and it goes to our dog walks, and contributes to the school. So thank you very much for that this year.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate
very
that.
much.
Very generous.
Awesome.
Our next presentation is an update from Serrano Water District, and we have Board Member Rich Freshy going to give us a presentation on water conservation and an update on the drought in the state of California and how it affects the city of Villa Park.
That is a tough act to follow. I am intimidated. I would like to be able to be cool like that.
Do you have a check for us?
Huh?
There you go.
Because you're cool if you have a
It
check for us.
costs to talk, right?
No, but I've got a way you can save some money.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, council, honorable Mayor Pro Tem and council, guests, and staff, hi there. Good evening. I'm Richard Fresky. I am the board member for the Serrano Water District, and I am also president of the Independent Special Districts of Orange County. I'm here tonight on behalf of Serrano, and Serrano, excuse me, as you probably know, was founded in 1875. We service the city of Villa Park and parts of Orange, and we own half of Irvine Lake. So we've been around a long time. Recently, in the background, the background is there's been a lot of press and newscasts about the drought. And we've been hearing about that quite a lot recently. About a week and a half ago, the State Water Board met in Sacramento, and they indicated that they're going to pass a lot of regulations and make certain edicts that we're to follow. Right now, we don't know what they are. We have not been formally notified. Pardon me. Not been formally notified. But as a matter of fact, tomorrow I'll spend half of the day in Los Angeles learning about what they want us to do. But as it is now, we know the same thing that you do. All we know is what's been in the paper. But we know that they're going to ask us to have a plan. Now that we have done. We did a plan for the water in 2009. We did a plan, and it was called the Water Conservation and Water Supply Storage Program. And I have a copy of it here, and I will pass them out. But we did that in January of '09. Then in July, we passed this out. We sent this to everyone, and this delineates what the plan will be. Basically, I'll run through it quickly. Basically, we have certain requirements that are already in effect now, and they are, you can't water during the day. You're not supposed to water your lawn or your yard between the hours of 10 and 4. Any sprinklers you have, we don't want them on for any longer than 15 minutes. Don't wash your car without a nozzle on the hose. Don't wash the driveway down with water. Use the broom. If you have a fountain, make certain that it uses recycled water. You recirculate the water. Just common sense things. We will probably put in what they call level 1. And again, we don't know yet, but it's our plan. We think we're going to do it, and that's level 1. And level 1, the requirement is we'll have 3 days a week where you can water. 3 days a week where you can water, and then also we want you to fix any leaks that you might have within like 72 hours. And those are the main restrictions that's the only difference that will happen here on level 1. To make it easier for you, we have some rebates that you are eligible for. There's a very sophisticated controller that's available on the market, and that reads the atmosphere and the atmospheric temperature, and it knows what your yard is. And that's available if you want that, where your yard sprinklers go on automatically depending upon the weather. There's $380 rebate eligible for that. If you have rotating sprinkler heads, if you go buy them, that's $4 per nozzle that you can get for that. If you want to buy a clothes washer, the rebate on that is $85 per washer. High efficiency toilets, $50 a toilet. There is a Taft removal residential rebate, and that's $2 per square foot. Now, we don't have that yet, and I got to tell you, I didn't find out that we didn't have it until yesterday after our meeting when I checked into it. And we didn't have it because we didn't sign up for it, but I've made arrangements and we will sign up for it, and we will have that available probably within 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to take it to the board on the second Tuesday of next month, and I'm certain that they will pass it, so we will have that. We will be party to that residential rebate program. In the meantime, our website has all of this stuff on it. We have an amazing website. Someone of your council has suggested that we make it more transparent, and we've done that. You can go on there and see salary levels, or whatever you want. You have to go to the section that says transparency, though, because if you don't look at the word transparency, you won't find it. So you've got the rebates. Now, here's our situation. We have water now. We bought it this year, and we have water, the money, we have budgeted to buy water next year. So we'll have water this year and next year. We will need rain by December of 2015. If we don't have rain by then, we're going to be in deep trouble. But we have the funding to buy water as we need it here. And actually, we have the funding, we can go a little bit past 2050 if we have to. And the reason we have that is because we've been very prudent this year, or the last couple of years. You know, we've got that dynamite new water treatment plant. We've paid down liabilities. We had unfunded liability of $600,000. We paid that down. We paid off $4.5 million worth of debt. So we've got money, and we have that money to buy the water. So we'll be okay there. We won't have tiered rates. A lot of the districts in the area, since I'm involved in ISDOC, the Independent Special Districts, I know what what they're all doing because they're part of me, or I'm part of them. We will not have tiered rates. And tiered rates are where the agency says you can't have more than 50 gallons a day or 30 gallons a day, whatever it is. They choose an arbitrary rate that you should use. And if you use more than that, they charge you more, just like the electric company. We don't believe in doing that. And a good number of the water districts do that. And a lot of them are raising rates also. And even though they get tax money, Serrano gets no tax money, not at all from anybody. And everybody except for one does. And by the way, we're the only one that has our own treatment plant. In any event, I could brag all night about Serrano, but I'd like to answer any questions you might have if I have a voice left. I beg your pardon.
Richard?
Yes, sir.
You meant the rebates you had mentioned that are currently available, are those rebates through Serrano or another agency?
Well, they come from Serrano, but they're funded by a Metropolitan Water District.
Okay.
And that's who, Metropolitan Water District buys the water from the state. And they distribute water from Ventura County line all the way down to San Diego.
Got it.
That's Met. And then their distributor is MoDOC. And MoDOC is Municipal Water District of Orange County. That's their distributor. And we buy from them. And so they pay our customers, but we one way or another, you gotta know we pay for it.
Yeah.
No
The
free
second
lunches.
and last question I have, Rich, is you mentioned transparency on your website. Is there any reason the transparency only goes to, it's only 1 year in there, 2011?
We just started.
I mean, that's pretty old data.
Well, it's the last audit's on there.
2011 is the only one on there.
I think I might check it today. I think it's later than that.
Well,
Well, if I'm wrong, it's because we just started doing this. We're just bringing it up to date. We're in the process of getting it up. It will be there if it's not there. We've just completed our audit this year.
yeah, okay.
But,
Well, that's all that's there right now.
Yeah, well, but if you want to see it, for heaven's sakes, let us know, and we will provide you with one. There's no intention to not make it available.
Yeah, I just think it should be more current on your website.
Oh, absolutely,
There's a
you're
link
right.
that says transparency, and you click it, and it just brings up 2011 only. So if you could get that updated.
I just don't remember seeing being that limited, but if you say so, I'm sure that's right. And whatever, we'll fix it if it's not right now. And do you have your iPad there? Oh, I thought somebody was looking at their iPad, because I think it's there. Anyway, are there any other questions? Does anybody?
The Water Smart certification,
Okay, the
That
Water
has been
Smart
advertised.
certification.
can you tell me what that is for our residents and how they can get that?
Well, that's something that, it has a limited life, and I fear it's nearing its end. But what that is you would go through us or straight to MoDOC, and on our website, we have the instructions on how you do that. And what you need to do is sign some papers, and you sign some authorizations, and you allow people to come in and look at your house and look at the yard and see how many times you'll flush the toilet and all those other things. And then they come back and they give you a certification if you're water wise. I don't know what that does,
Okay.
other than point out to the world that you're a good citizen and you're not wasting this precious resource.
That's the question I had. What benefit do we have, other than they can tell us where we could,
Yeah,
where our
well,
residents could lower
yeah,
their
but then the
bills?
city council can, put a plaque on their yard or something. But there's no financial remuneration that I'm aware of.
Okay. That's it for me. Wait. yeah, excuse me. Is there any other questions from council?
May I answer her question?
Yes. It's okay, go ahead.
Just a quickie, please.
That, we have to have rain by 2015. You mean throughout the state, in Southern California?
In Irvine Lake,
Here, yeah.
okay? Thank you all very much. And always remember, if there's any questions you have, or if there's anything you need, for heaven's sakes, call us. You know, we very much take seriously our responsibility to be good providers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation, and if I could also follow up in that there will be a seminar forthcoming from the Serrano Water District sometime in September. We haven't picked a date where they're gonna come and try and teach the residents on water conservation and rebates and stuff. All right, our next presentation is from Orange County Fire Authority. Battalion Chief, thank you, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, honorable council members. My name is Chris Concepcion, Division Chief with Orange County Fire Authority and your local fire chief. I wanted to give you an update on the Orange County Fire Authority this month. Since the last council meeting from June 25th to today, there were 15 incidents that the OCFA responded to in the city of Villa Park. Of those 15 incidents, 10 were emergency medical service calls, so about 67%. Our average response time was 6 minutes and 22 seconds, so that's well within our response time standards. Happy to report that on the 4th of July, we did not have any incidents in the city of Villa Park. We did have one report of fireworks on July 2nd, but that was unfounded. Other than that, it was a quiet July 4th in the city of Villa Park, which is good. We are working on our 4th of July overall annual report, which we put out. Usually comes out in the month of September, and so as soon as that becomes available, we will provide that to you. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is something that continues to be an issue, not specifically here in the city of Villa Park, but in our jurisdiction, is the issue of drowning and water safety. In 2013, we had 73 incidents of water immersions. 37 of those were fatalities. In 2014 to date, we've had 29 with 11 fatalities. So the problem is continuing. This is a preventable issue, and we urge everyone to be water safe. Make sure you watch the water, especially we're supposed to have triple-digit temperatures by the end of the week. Everybody likes to take a dip in the pool, so it's really ultra important that we watch the water anytime kids are in the pool. And then the last thing is I want you to get on your calendars, if you will, on October 4th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Your local firehouse, Station 23, is going to be open for open house. It's Fire Prevention Month, and the motto for that for this year is "Working Smoke Alarms Save Lives." And then on October 11th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., our Regional Fire Operations and Training Center is going to be open to the public from 10 to 3. We've got fire engine rides for everyone, for the kids to enjoy, and all kinds of educational things for the adults. So get those on your calendar. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question regarding the drownings. Is it more children or is it also adults? Because I have read about quite a few adults that.
Yeah, it's actually both that we're having an issue with. The adults most of the time, what we're finding is they may have a medical issue. You know, they're at the same time, and then they drown as a result of it, or unfortunately, you know, either drugs or alcohol play a part in that. And then what makes me nervous is people, you know, even though they're strong swimmers, you know, they will go swimming by themselves without anyone, and that's dangerous. Even in your backyard swimming pool, it was funny. I have my daughters are all grown, and I have a child that's 20. She's 20 years old. She's back for the summer from college, and she was out swimming, and my wife was asking me, "Why are you checking every 2 minutes And it's just, you know, what a dad does. Anytime, you know, being a long time, you know, paramedic and having gone on these drowning events, especially the little kids, it affects you, and you remember each and every one that you go on. So it's an important thing.
I have one question, please. You said that there was one, I believe you meant that there was a call out on July 2nd, but it
Yes.
was unfounded. What does
Yes.
that mean?
It means that there was a report of fireworks by a reporting party, and our engine company will respond, go out, take a look to see if there's any illegal fireworks. You know, and they're not supposed to. Obviously, July 2nd is not. You're not allowed to set off any fireworks. They did not find any fireworks of any sort, so which means it's unfounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
It means they didn't find any fireworks.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
What it means.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I wanted to be sure that I understood what that meant.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Okay, and Lieutenant Guns, our update on our law enforcement in the city.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Reporting for the month of June, we had 5 Part 1 crimes reported. Just a little bit more detail on those. One of the residents that had a theft from it, the homeowner hired a estate company to do, looks like staging or something like that. And when that company came back to collect their items, there was apparently items missing from that. We had another one where it was a burglary where the person took the car during the burglary, commission of the burglary. That car has since been recovered by Deputy Muir. And then one of the ones where it was unusual or unique, I should say, where the homeowner was home. He works inside the house out of an office, and his wife had left for the evening or left for the morning, and he was down working in his office, and someone apparently got in through the upstairs window. He saw the person, called deputies. We got here really, really quickly, set up a perimeter, and the person was gone. It was fortunately up on the hillside, so got Orange PD involved, and we probably had 8 or 10 units here with a helicopter and canines, and the guy was gone. So I don't know what the time frame was, the delay on the call that he called in, but I said that person got away. And I don't know what the loss on that one was. It doesn't list a loss on here. He was upstairs burglarizing the bedroom when the resident was downstairs in his office. Very important always to keep your doors locked. And apparently the wife had seen someone in the neighborhood she didn't recognize when she left to go to the gym. If you see something that looks out of place, please call. Could have caused her a little bit quicker. And then we had a vehicle burglary where someone actually took the back window out of the car. They had $200 cash and a rifle in the back. That's just things you don't keep in a car. I've said numerous times that. So that one's a little unusual too. So those are the crime stats for June. And I also wanted to touch on, there was a DUI task force out this last weekend through our South Traffic office, and it was a saturation patrol. So if you didn't see a DUI checkpoints because they have roving units around, and they go from city to city. This one focused on Yorba Linda, Stanton, and Villa Park. And just for some stats on that, put things in perspective. Vehicles stopped in the city of Stanton was 63 vehicles. Yorba Linda, 6 vehicles were stopped, and in Villa Park, 2 vehicles. Field sobriety tests, Stanton had 6 of them, Yorba Linda 1, Villa Park 1. DUI arrests were only 2 in Stanton. There wasn't any in Villa Park. They also have stats on suspended license and unlicensed drivers, which this city has none either. So 2 vehicles stopped, and 1 guy was balanced out, and no DUI. So good news.
Good weekend.
Any questions for me?
1. You said there were 5 Part 1 crimes, but you only spoke about 4 of them, unless I missed something.
I probably missed.
So what's the 5th one, please?
A stolen vehicle, that's separate from the
From
other.
the one that was a burglary?
There was separate, that one was, there was actually two, but I don't count the stolen vehicle from the burglary because it's a burglary. So there is another
But they
stolen
count.
vehicle that happened.
Okay, so there was one, there was a car stolen that wasn't through the course of a residential breaking and entering?
Correct.
Okay.
And that one, they took the keys for that car from another car that was unlocked.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on now to oral communications on matters that are not appearing on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the city council. If you wish to address the city council at this time, please step up to the podium, announce your name and your address, and you will have 5 minutes for your topic. Is there anyone who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda tonight?
I have one,
Okay.
a quick nothing.
If- We're going to let Councilman Reese, if you don't mind, speak.
Ju-
in the
stay there,
podium. You
just
can
stay
stand-
there.
you
It's
can-
one
you
quick
can stand
second.
there. He's sitting.
When I was asking Serrano Water about their transparency, I had mentioned 2011. It was my mistake. It's 2012 they have on. Vector has 2011 only, and I thought it was them. It's interesting because sanitation has 2013, and then Serrano's 2012, and Vector's 2011. That's the only year they show.
And that's audited. Is that their audit statements,
I
or is
don't
it
know
just
if it's
their-
audited.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just,
It was just
on their
audited.
website, that's all they show. So my mistake on that. So I will call them and let them know that theirs is 12, not 11. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mary Beth Felson, 9622 Feather Hill Drive, Villa Park, and my telephone number is 714.
You don't need to
I
provide
read
that. You're good.
Very
Thank you, Mary Beth.
I am representing tonight the group that is working on the Sereno traffic problem. I just wanted to update the council that we have distributed our petition for parking by permit only on Dodson, Bryn Mawr, and Feather Hill, and now the mailings are coming in. So we'll update the council probably in about a week on what the results are, and I'll deliver it to the city manager, if that's fine. One question that's coming up in all of the emails I'm getting involves the proposed traffic study that was delayed until the start of the school year. And people are wondering if that has been scheduled or committed yet. I'm sorry if I don't know the right words.
That's something that we'd have to discuss with the city manager. It's not, we don't have any update on that right now to be able to provide that answer to you.
Okay, well, we're hoping it will be done, and I just wanted to inquire. We understood it was proposed, not planned or anything at this time. One more question. How would I find out when it is going to be, or what the decision will be?
If you give Jared a call, he'll be able to help you.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, well, we're going to close oral communications, and at this time, we are going to move on to public hearings. Our first public hearing is, a consideration of variance permit number 0756 at 9641 Feather Hill Drive. Does staff have a report for us?
Yes, I will pitch this one over to Jennifer.
Good evening, members of the council. Tonight before you, we have a request from a resident in town to remodel and expand an existing sunroom. And the sunroom right now is, you have photos in your packet. It's essentially an aluminum sided patio that they'd like to improve and really make more in keeping with the architecture of their residential home and also fit into the character of the neighbors and the community. The property is a little bit unique. It backs up to a school, and so their immediate adjacent neighbor to the back is the school's yard. It's not even one of the school buildings. So they have grass behind them and some areas that aren't grass. Their existing patio area has a side yard setback of 8 feet 8 inches. So it doesn't currently meet the 10-foot setback. It's unclear from staff if this is a real measurement. Sometimes from time to time fences get moved over time and you're not quite sure, unless you do a real survey, if the fence is on the property line. So that's an assumption that the building doesn't meet that 10-foot setback, but we feel like it's a fairly safe assumption. The property owner would like to maintain that same setback rather than stepping in the wall for the expanded portion of the building and having kind of a jog in that architecture. So that is one reason for the variance request tonight, will be to maintain that 8-foot, 8-inch side yard setback. In addition to that, the property owner would like to expand the room slightly to the rear to allow them a little more floor area to enjoy in this building. While they could expand to the north, it would become a very long and narrow building, and really for their use, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So they will end up with a 5-foot rear yard setback rather than a 10. So as you know, we've been working very hard on our variances and making sure we can make the findings. We did meet with the CDC and talked through this issue and talked about the unusual circumstances related to this property. We do have only about 30 properties that are immediately adjacent to schools in our city. And so it is a bit of an unusual circumstance where they don't have another property owner another residential property immediately adjacent to the rear. The reason for the setbacks, as you're well aware, is to maintain that compatibility between uses. We don't want buildings getting very close and neighbors having privacy issues and whatnot. So keeping that 10-foot setback really makes good sense. In this case, because of the neighbor to the west being the school's yard, there isn't that immediate incompatible use or the need for that larger setback. The property also, as seen in the photos provided, has a good deal of landscaping, and we have conditioned this request so that that landscaping is maintained. Should it die in the future or they want to cut it down or something, we would require them to put it back up so you do have screening. With that, the CDC did recommend approval of this application, and staff has made the findings, and we are also recommending that you approve the variance both for the side and the rear on this property. Happy to answer any questions that you have this evening, and the property owners are here if you have any questions specific to them.
Any questions from council?
No?
Let's,
I'm going to open the public hearing if there's anyone here who wishes to speak on the matter. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion, move the item.
second.
I would like to, if I may, first of all, I appreciate very much whenever the property owners go to their neighbors and lay it out, and then the neighbors approve it too. It just keeps the peace, and that's something we really like. I have a question when I'm looking at the conditions of approval under special conditions. I believe you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, a variance will convey with the property. So once it's been given, it's given. And so when I look at special condition number 2, and it talks about the approval of the city planner, there's really no guarantee that we will have a city planner. Staff changes and works around and comes and goes. So I'm wondering if that maybe should be changed to say the approval of the city manager or designee.
Actually, in our code, the city planner is designated as the city manager. So I'm your...
I see.
Yeah.
That's very, okay. The city manager is designated as the city planner.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember questioning that when it happened. Jared is everything. He's the clerk, he's the director of everything, and he's the chief janitor. Okay, got it. All right, that clarifies that for me. Then I have no further questions or concerns with it.
Okay.
Mr. Jared Catchall, right?
Yeah.
Motion on the floor is to adopt resolution number 2014-3290, approving variance permit number 0756. Councilman Reese.
Yes.
Councilman Pauly.
Yes.
Councilman Mills.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fasenelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we're going to move on to public hearing number 2. What we have here is resolution 2014-3289 to consider, let's see, regarding property conditions present at 18231 Fernando Circle.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. This item has come again before the City Council. As you may recall, it came before you last July as well. At that time, another property owner had possession of the property, and we initiated the public nuisance case against such owner, and they were actually making strides to develop the property. Since then, it has transitioned to a real estate group. It's my understanding that they are now in the process of flipping the property. However, it has sat in its present condition for quite some time. So it is my recommendation that we now declare it a public nuisance, or at least, declare our intent to conduct a public hearing to declare it a public nuisance at the next city council meeting. We have made attempts to contact the property owner several times, yet to no avail. I will again post it to the property, send certified mailings, and hope to reach out to them. The conditions of the property, I again drove out there today, and nothing has changed since the pictures were taken in your staff report, and I believe I took those on the July 8th timeframe. It's my recommendation that you adopt resolution number 2014-3289 and set a public hearing to be held in conjunction with the city council meeting on August 26th. I'm available for any questions.
Is there any other way to contact the owners more quickly? Or, I mean, we do letters, we do, certified mails. Is there something that the sheriff can help us with?
I've pulled the title report on the property and haven't found a telephone number. I've Googled the firm and haven't found a telephone number. We've been out to the site and actually talked to the alleged property owner / contractor. That was Mr. Bill Tarrant and Tyler Valentine when he was still with the city, and that's when we had the
And they were threatened, right? One incident they were threatened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is my understanding that the property owner stormed off the property, and we have not seen them since.
And we ran the license plates on, nobody's been back since though, so we haven't ran any license plates on it.
I haven't ran any license plates, but that's maybe something that I can work with if it's even allowed.
Isn't this the purview of the title company now, that they should be able to contact these folks and these liens will be on the property?
I will reach out to them as well.
Okay.
Couple of things. Thank you for making me aware of the fact that this was going to be on the agenda earlier than the agenda packet, so I was able to go by a couple of times late last week, and late in the evening. I was a little concerned to see what appeared to be a work truck, no work being done, and I was wondering whether or not somebody might be living there and whether that's permissible. And the other question I had was, do we normally post notice on the property that there's going to be a public hearing at the actual property?
For a public hearing, yes.
Okay.
That will be the next city council meeting. Tonight is just whether or not we want to proceed that far.
Okay.
Typically, this item would fall under the consent calendar. However, the last time we did that, we pulled it for such reason.
Okay.
I will post the public hearing to the property, knock on a door, hopefully try and find one of the vehicles that's parked there. I've seen a pattern of two vehicles, a white construction Chevy maybe, and then a bluish either GMC or Chevy Tahoe / Yukon. It's my understanding that whoever is driving to and from the property in that vehicle is being dispatched to another property which they're flipping in Costa Mesa. So it's a shuffle trying to get a hold of them.
Well, there is no doubt in the 7.5 years that I've been on council, this is the worst property that I've ever seen, whether it's been in process of being refurbished or no matter what. It's unbelievable. So
there was a car when it was either the initial property owner or now the real estate investment firm that was pulled from the backyard. It was so overgrown. It's what you'd find, I imagine, in a small town in Iowa where there's roots growing up through the car engine. It was pulled and left on the street for maybe a week until we had it towed out of there.
Wasn't it a Rambler station wagon or something
Yeah.
like that?
The new owners pulled it out of the backyard, it was buried, and dumped it on the street facing the wrong way.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's bad.
For those of you that know what a Rambler is.
Exactly.
Even I know what a Rambler is. Do you need a
Now,
motion?
I'm gonna open
we have-
the public
have to have
hearing.
public hearing,
Yeah, open
okay.
public, if there's anyone here to speak on the matter. Seeing none, we'll close public hearing and come back for a motion.
I'll be glad to make the motion that we approve resolution number 2014-3289 and set a public hearing to be held in conjunction with the city council meeting on August 26th, 2014.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Polly.
Yes.
Councilman Mills.
Yes.
Councilman Reese.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fasenelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our next item is one that Councilwoman Polly asked to be put on here, so and it's the Neighborhood Watch Program update, and I'll turn this over to you.
Well, it's kind of interesting because the reason that I requested that we place the Neighborhood Watch program on the agenda had to do with a report of attempted residential burglaries on streets off of Center, and the fact that that will inspire people who live there to get involved with establishing a Neighborhood Watch program. And I thought we really haven't, as a council, given this program a lot of attention in the past couple years, and when you do that, they tend to atrophy. And so I think it's our responsibility to bring it forward. And as soon as I'd asked Jared to agendize this, the very next day we had the incident up at Mesa. So clearly, it's a very good time for us to focus attention on the Neighborhood Watch. So I'd asked Jared to kind of dig into, where the program stands, give us an opportunity to find out and educate the community on what it takes to establish a Neighborhood Watch program, maybe getting some guidance from Lieutenant Gunzel, and then perhaps hearing from some of our community members that have led a very effective Neighborhood Watch program. So I kind of would like Jared to go ahead and give me the information, or give the community, rather, the information that he dug up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilwoman Polly. As we all know, Neighborhood Watch is just one of the oldest and most effective crime prevention programs. Here, I'd say we have a fairly decent Neighborhood Watch program. There's, as of my last count, 94 active block captains that are on my email distribution list. Most recently, after the burglary up on Mesa, we emailed the community alert out to those block captains, and only a couple of emails bounced back. So that was promising to say that folks are still monitoring them, and the email boxes were good. To start a group is simple. All you have to do is walk around your neighborhood or your cul-de-sac or your street, your avenue or your road or your circle, wherever you live, and just knock on a door and get to know your neighbors and let them know that you want to start a group, try to drum up participation. And then once you have that, call City Hall and we will coordinate a meeting between our crime prevention specialists, I believe, to either meet here in City Hall or we'll go out to the block, whatever's easiest for them. We'll give them tips on home security. They should select a block captain who is that group's liaison. Any and all information that they want, we'll be willing to provide them. We're the facilitators for this. As a city, what we'll do is try to hold Neighborhood Watch meetings, and you touched on it, we haven't done very well on it. I think our last one was in December with crime prevention and a shredding event, so maybe it's about time we hold one this summer again, just to keep the business and the interest going. But unfortunately, the program does atrophy, and I like that word. But right now is the time to revitalize it when we've had significant events in our city. There's no better time than now. And you also asked about a Neighborhood Watch sign. It's simple. Once you have an active group, the city will pay for the sign, and we'll put it at the entrance of your street, preferably on an existing sign pole, so we do not have to install another one. And that cost is bared by the city at maybe $150.
Thank you, Jared. I did have a question. You said we have 94 block captains, and I will say this before I even ask the question. Very positive response from the community of your use of the Connect CTY or whatever it is that notified them of the significant incident that was ongoing up in Mesa with helicopters in the air. It makes people feel not necessarily comfortable because they've been told to lock their doors and windows, but at least informed. Sometimes just not knowing what's going on is scarier than being made aware of it. So, but you said you sent it out to also 94 block captains and only 2 bounced back. And I know from previous discussions that you could tell if they've been opened, at least through the ENet. Do you know how many of them were actually opened?
These are separate lists.
Okay.
So we have the city's e-network, which has about 680 something subscribers. That was the community police alert was the largest click open rate that we've ever had. It was 80 something %.
Yeah.
As for the block captains, I do not. That's just on my Outlook email list.
Well, I want to commend you for the proper use of this tool. I've complained about it before, where we've had choppers in the air, things going on in the community is left in the dark. As you can see from the response and the open rate, they want to know. And I know Greg might have a few things to say. The owner of the property that was burglarized up on Mesa, she and I had an extended conversation yesterday, and she told me that I could share this information. She wants to be here, but she has another meeting that's not going to be over until 8 o'clock. One of the things she did notice, what she shared with me, was that when she left the house that morning, she saw the truck, and she knew it wasn't somebody who lived there. And she just kind of, it registered in her mind, but she went on anyway after her yoga class. And left, of course, her husband down on a conference call. He's hearing all this noise upstairs. He thinks it's his wife. He doesn't even think a thing of it. So the guy is ransacking the house while he's downstairs. And she had the opportunity to call. That's part of what we talk about. If you see something, say something. And this is where, the residents who don't feel comfortable calling dispatch because of perhaps being brushed off or, that's not important, it's no harm, no foul for the sheriff to make a little visit and, hey, what you doing? How are you doing? You lost? Can I help you find something? And then at least he knows. I personally, what I will do is if somebody is on my cul-de-sac, just sitting there, and I don't recognize them as being somebody that should be there, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'll walk right up or drive right up and say, hey, how are you doing? Looking right at them and saying, are you lost? You're waiting for somebody? I will let them know. And I do that, on the other streets too. That sends a message to them that, hey, well, somebody just paid attention to me. But the other thing that was a little frustrating with regard to the sheriff's response, although it was a all-out response, was that the resident was held away from the home and not be able to come up because of procedures and say, I saw the vehicle. And she felt like an hour was lost before she was allowed to get within that perimeter. And that's a communication, and this is not the first time I've heard this from residents, where they feel like they're put back, and if somebody has information that could assist, and of course they have a vested interest in helping you or helping the sheriff's department solve this thing quickly, that whole hour that was lost, that truck's gone. But she saw the truck and could have given notice, and maybe there was a better chance of actually catching the bad guy. So those are the things I have to say about this, but I would also ask that the city manager write an article, or someone write an article on Neighborhood Watch for the Villa Park magazine. And really, we need to make a concerted effort to get this out into the community, to revitalize this program. It's our job as leaders in the community to do those things when we see crimes that are somewhat on an uptick. And it's better for us to go ahead and get ourselves organized now before we have ourselves in a situation where, wow, it's not just an uptick. There's stuff happening all over the place. It's a pretty dangerous world right now, and there are things that are happening beyond our control that are not going to make it any better. So it's going to be up to us to watch out for us. So that's all I have to say about that. I appreciate the time you took, Jared, and I appreciate the council's time for allowing me to bring this program up. And I really do want to hear from some of the residents that are here, if that's possible.
Any other council member have?
Yes, I have a slight thing I wanted to ask Jared. How often do you test the watch captains? Is it just once in a while, or does it make sense to do that once in a while in conjunction with Lieutenant Gunzel and his folks?
No, it absolutely does.
That's one thing. And the second thing is, why do we have a watch program day? We encourage all the neighborhoods where the captains are to go out and meet everybody. And so we can provide a cake or a jug of tea and lemonade or something, just just to make sure everybody goes out and talks. You know, kind of like taking a pie over to your new neighbor, but that sort of thing. Because it helps just to be able to see everybody eye to eye. And so it's just one, not necessarily that, but something in that vein. I think it'd be a good thing that we could do as well, to make people more aware of it. And I think we can also promote it during our city events through the foundation as well. It'd be a good way. So just some comments. I don't think you go any further than that, but it's just some things we'll look at, and we can go back to CDC on that too, and kind of drive it that way and come back to council. Thanks.
Any comments, Brad?
I think it's a great program. I think the sign alone on the entrance of a street really lets a crook know, wait a minute, these residents are looking, and I think that's huge, just that alone. Of course, having the residents be involved is even huger, where they watch out for each other. So I definitely want to see the program continue and foster into more. It's good.
I had one more slight thing. You know, I think everybody does this on the council, but the street I live off of is called Alice Lane. There's a lot of people parked there, just sit there for hours. And because there's not a no parking sign, which is okay there, because it's a city street. But I do the same thing. I'll drive up to somebody, roll down the window and say, can I help you? Are you lost? You need something? And then you know right away. And then you come back around again and they're gone.
Yeah.
So just that, but stay far enough away they can't throw something at you. So
You know, and if
I don't do that because
I
I don't
do.
want a gun in my face.
Yeah, no bullets.
So
I don't either.
I've been told not to do that, but I do call somebody if I
There
do
you
see
go.
See, here's the other thing, you know, I always
We have
have my
these.
phone with me, and if I am particularly uncomfortable with somebody, I snap a picture of their vehicle and the license plate, or their face. You know, if I can do it without being, you know, too obvious. But just because, if I'm feeling that, there's a reason that I'm feeling that. But you're right, half the time when you say something, next thing you know, they're gone. They're gone.
What do we have?
And they leave their trash there too.
Yeah, that too.
Do we have anyone here who'd like to speak on that issue? We'd love to hear that.
Fresh off of a wonderful vacation to Germany, I hear.
I'm barely able to walk from 24 hours of flying.
And I'm fortunate because she's my block captain.
Are
And she's a good one.
you are lucky.
I'm Mary Silzel, 18202 Montana Circle. Our cul-de-sac neighborhood has enjoyed an active Neighborhood Watch program for almost 40 years. At that time, Neighborhood Watch was established and maintained by volunteers, and Villa Park was considered by OCSD as the poster child for the Neighborhood Watch program throughout the county. The small size of our community made for cohesiveness and simplicity in organizing Neighborhood Watch groups in our city. Unfortunately, we went through a period of time where, as often happens, the volunteers were invited out and more bureaucracy was invited in, and the program began to wane and diminish in its effectiveness. The connection among our neighbors on Montana Circle and Vita Drive continues to be a reassurance of safety and security. We actually look out for each other. Most of us have the phone numbers and email addresses of those living nearest to us. We check to be sure that trash cans, mail, newspapers, door hangers are taken care of. We inquire after the welfare of those living alone if we don't see them around the neighborhood. We send alerts when we learn of break-ins or criminal activity in the city, or convicted predators that have been paroled into our neighborhood, or when unrecognized cars are on the street, or when anything just plain looks fishy. We try to have an informal get-together of our neighbors once or twice a year, inviting the Sheriff's Department to attend and bring canines for the kids or something to educate the neighborhood. We try to review the use of the emergency signs that are provided, the green signs, and we try to welcome new neighbors to the neighborhood and get acquainted. Not everyone in our neighborhood participates, but those of us who choose to do so have formed a network that just plain works. It's our hope that we can revitalize the Neighborhood Watch program in our small city, and that somehow we can reassure those who resist participating for fear of intrusion on their privacy that, as the Sheriff's Department has told us, there's nothing better for safety and security than a nosy neighbor, and we pride ourselves on being nosy neighbors. I did want to say, Jared, we did not get, as block captains, we did not get information. We were out of the country, but there was no evidence when we returned. And our feeling is that if we encourage people to just simply do this as residents, do it on their own without making them feel there's a bureaucratic type of thing that the city is organizing, telling them what to do. You have to do this, you have to do that, this sort of thing. If we just say, look out for each other, be good neighbors, I think we can do it. I would like to see us really revitalize it. I'd like to see us be the poster child again for Neighborhood Watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. You know what, Mary, it sounds like that's a really nice draft article for the Villa Park magazine if it were merged together with some of the information in Jared's report.
I'd be glad to forward it to Jared. And as I say, I was an English major in college. If I didn't learn to write for all that amount of money, what a waste. So I'm always happy to share.
I think that would probably work out. Thank you so much for coming, Mary and Wayne Silzel. You've been great leaders, and I learned a lot about the program just through visiting with how you run things over there.
On a final note on that, I don't see anyone else here who wants to talk. The best thing that our citizens can do is get to know your neighbors. And some neighbors are more private than others, but that doesn't mean that you don't watch their house and you don't know what type of cars go in and out. So even if you don't know their names or they won't give you their phone number, if you see a car that doesn't belong there, call, because you know the car doesn't belong there. They drive a black one and a red one shows up and it's there all of a sudden. That's, I think, the best we can do.
Yeah, one last comment, if I could, is that when you have construction on your street, be especially careful. I have that on my street right now. Lots of different cars. They speed around. They show up at 6:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, sit there for waiting till 7 o'clock to start work. A lot of this, so I do pay attention to all that, and I think you should be aware of what's going on in your neighborhood. Get to know them, because and also wave to them. Let them know you see them, because that's what I do to all the different gentlemen that come by up on our Villa Woods Drive, which is a lot these days because there's two different houses going on. They're being flipped, not like Fernando.
Jared, I know this was a public hearing, but there's nothing to pass on this. I think
we
it
can
was
just
more of a
receive and
discussion,
file
am I
this
correct?
report, yeah.
Okay.
If I may end the whole Neighborhood Watch program with, we are at least the poster child for one program, and that is the Vacation Watch, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I believe, I don't know how many cities it's offered in, but we are the model for that, for the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and I do commend them on the program. They funnel through my desk, and I'll forward them over to Lieutenant Gunzel, who forwards them over to the deputies, and I mean, it's just a wonderful service to have. It's a complete exterior perimeter check of your property twice a day.
Okay,
So if you're going on vacation, you're listening to me right now, call City Hall and we'll take your information.
And one of the things that, because the questions, whenever there is a burglary of vacation, when the resident is gone, none of those burglaries, while the resident was on vacation, none of those individuals had called to be on that checklist. None of them. It's free service. Not really. It cost us $1.2 million, but it's one of the best services we get out of the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, it's a great program.
May I speak to the council, please?
course,
I'm
Wayne.
Wayne
Nice to see
Silzel, 18202 Montana Circle. I want to comment, underline a comment that you just made, Jared. That is the Neighborhood Watch program. I mean the sheriff's, pardon me, I'm still recuperating too here. 9 hours plus 14 3/4 hours in flight with 2-hour waits in between a couple. We're kind of wondering what day it is. But
It's time to get up.
The point here was we were gone for almost 2 weeks. Our neighbors knew, just got home Sunday, actually early Monday morning. And we had the sheriff looking out again, as we do every time. We've heard from people who say that they don't want to tell anybody they're leaving town because that's the word gets around, particularly your gardener or the beauty shop or whatever. So the point is, people know when you're out of town. We set timer lights and so forth and do all those good things. Sometimes we turn a radio on a timer, so it sounds like somebody's in there. But the most important thing is the sheriff's departments walk through every night, checking doors, windows, flashlights, looking behind the bushes. They don't just pass by and knock on the door or see if that front's open. They actually go in the backyard. And we had occasion one time where we got home early and they came in the backyard, and I saw the flashlights out there, you know. Man, we had a little explaining to do, but actually their fault. They were 1 day over what they were supposed to. We had a good laugh at the front door. But point is, our neighbors know that the sheriff's watching it too, and that gives them comfort knowing. And the other thing is mail. Probably the biggest controversy is don't have them stop your mail, because there's people in the post office that might pass the word to somebody. Well, believe me, the mail they're highly susceptible to that type of fraudulent activity, and they're probably the best for policing that sort of thing. Our mailman delivered the mail the next morning after we got back on Monday, and we woke up enough to collect the box and brought it to the door. And I think it's a great thing that to have use the public services you're paying taxes for. And that's the best way to, we've had no problems in, I don't know, 40 years, I guess, because we're vigilant with our, and the other thing, of course, is that neighbor next door has a key. They pick up the flyers off the driveway if there's any, and the neighbor across the street takes the garbage cans down, and it just works out beautifully. Of course, 75% of our neighborhood are original owners, 40 years, which is also unusual. So we not only know each other, we practically raise their kids or watch them age like the rest of us. But it's a great program, and it's not, don't fear it, use it, is my suggestion.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, Mary, I had one comment about part of your delivery is that you were asking for don't invite so much bureaucracy in. Go out and do it person to person. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful way, and it also takes the heat off of our public servants too that guard us, which the firemen and sheriff do every day. Thank you. Yes, well, the reason for a party is good in Villa Park.
Okay, all right, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine, are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listing on the agenda. Any member of the city council, staff, or public may request the item to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items which you would like to pull?
6 and 7, please.
And I would like to pull 6.
Okay.
Should I just move the remainder?
Yes?
A second.
Okay.
I so move.
I second.
Motion is to approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Councilman Mills?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fasenelli?
Yes.
Councilman Polly?
Yes.
Councilman Reese?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Deborah?
Okay. If I may, we've got item 6 is approval of the annual statement of investment policy, and item 7 is authorizing the investment with CalTrust, which we've never used before. Okay, so I kind of think they are backwards. So the first thing we should do is approve, and that's not why I'm polling this. The first thing we should do is approve the investment with CalTrust, and then once that has occurred, we would approve the statement of investment, since that those changes have already incorporated into the amended policy. Okay, so if you don't mind,
We're going to take 7 first.
is that okay? Oh, is that okay?
I have no problem taking
Okay.
7 first.
Someone else opposed.
Okay.
Bring it on.
I'm just, Michelle, I'm sure this is all going to fall to you. I've never, first of all, when I see Cal anything, Caltrans, CalSTRS, CalPERS, I go, ooh, you know, is that a bad thing or a good thing? And, you know, we normally have had Bob Fautour on the council, so we've been really, since I've been on, very fortunate. So I ended up having to call John Morlock last night, or actually he called me, thankfully, to talk about it. But I wanted to understand, you know, where we got the whole CalTrust thing and how it is different from LAIF and the Orange County Investment Pool.
It's a joint powers authority. So Wells Advisors is the investing branch of it, and it's a pool of government entities based on the government code. Same parameters, same, you know, the government code specifies what we can invest in. They go by the exact same government code. Ours is more stringent, but we have spoken with them and gotten what types of investments and what the reason why we were starting to look at another option. Obviously, diversification is what is key for us. Any prudent investor is not to put all your eggs in one basket. As we have been conservative and increased our reserves and got a better handle, at least through the staff, Jared and I have worked well together, understanding when the fluctuations of cash, our cash flow, we know when things are going in and out, and what the plan is. We work really well together. We know when we need to expect money. One of the issues is, as we watch LAIF and OCAP, we have a lot of money. We have over $2 million with the two of them earning maybe 0.2%. I mean, we're not earning anything. Not that yield is our, that's the lowest of the three priorities. It's safety, liquidity, and then yield. So it's the last priority we have. However, it's still a priority. So we're trying to make our money go the furthest. So what we did, based with the IAC recommendations as well, is figure out our cash flow, how much money do we need, and we have the $1.3 million that now is in our reserve in our laddering strategy, and that is between Union and Wells Fargo, and that's CDs, government agencies, medium-term notes. So we have a myriad of investments. That money's locked away. That's the 4/5 vote. So there's that pool of money, if you will. Then we have this liquid investment that we're trying to earn some interest on, and that's with LAIF and OCIP. That's the $2 million that's kind of sitting in there. The more we researched it, and then we have our checking, which we keep at a small account, and we have a little savings account that just for daily cash flow, because it takes maybe sometimes a day to get money from LAIF or OCIP. So the main reason why we looked into is how can we earn more interest, how can we stay with the safeties, liquidity, and the thing that CalTrust has is they have a medium-term account, which it's still liquid, it's still safe, it's still the same investments. However, you can only pull money out once a month. So this is considered your medium investing. So you have a short-term, medium-term, long-term. So long-term is our reserves. Medium term is, that's where we got the $500,000. We're thinking we have $500,000 that if worst comes to worst, we could get it in a month. We could get it at the end of the month, but we'll know if we need that $500,000. And you can get it earlier, but there might be a fee, or there might, it may not be the prudent way to do it. According to Lyle, who is the administrator, he's like, we've never had an issue. We've always been able to meet the needs of the constituents within the authority. So we pursued it. We did some research. It earns at least a good 40 basis points more than LAIF and OCIP. So if we put a larger block over in the medium term, we can still pull the money out within a month. However, we still have liquid LAIF and OCIP we can get in a day. So that was kind of the thought process that we went through.
Okay, that clarifies things for me, because I assumed that $500,000 was just the undesignated reserves, which is only 1.2, and I'm thinking, boy, isn't that huge? But you're really talking about a $2 million chunk of money, and so we're really only talking about 25%, and you still could get it.
Yes.
I just thought we should talk about it. This is supposed to be, consent calendar is something that's routine. I don't consider it routine when we start investing with something that we've never invested in before. I did, whenever you talk with John Morlock, I don't know if there's anybody in maybe the country that's as well versed on, investment, government investment. But this CalTrust, when I expressed my concern, he said, well, it's actually an idea that I put forward when I was county treasurer. The idea of the county treasurers coming together and creating this joint powers authority. But he also says he doesn't think that we're going to see a much better yield than the OCIP without breaking the buck, which I didn't understand. And then I got an education on the whole idea of the $1, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to know all of this. But I just thought we should pull it out and discuss it a little bit, because it is different, and I wanted to know where it came from, and I wanted to understand how, where that $500,000 was coming from, because that's a lot of money.
Right. It's coming from the OCIP LAIF. We would just draw down those a little bit more.
That's good. That's good. I have no other questions about it. And I appreciate you laying that all out for us. I truly do. I think it's important for us to really understand, what we're approving.
Okay, I move we approve this.
Second.
Read the motion.
There's a resident who has a question, I think.
Can I ask a question about that? Those, okay. April Matthews, 10051 Briley Way. Is that money insured? Like when you put it into an account or something, or FDIC in a bank, what happens if the money is gone overnight for some apparent reason? Do they insure half of that or all of that?
It is FDIC insured. And part of the reason why we are doing portions in different pools is for that diversification. Our investment policy, we specifically say you can't have more than 5% in one issue, or you can't have more than 30% of a instrument, CDs or agencies. So we have a lot of restrictions within the policy. So, and part of it is the FDIC insurance, so
Okay.
yes.
I didn't doubt your ability, but I just wanted to be asked
Yes.
and answered, just to make sure that in past history and treasuries and cities,
Right.
you can lose money overnight. So thank you.
Ready for roll call, Jerry?
Yes. Motion is to authorize staff to work with CalTrust and invest $500,000 in medium-term account pool. Councilman Mills?
Yes.
Councilman Reese?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polly?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fasenelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Agenda item 7.
This is the statement of investment policy, which we have been now reviewing on an annual basis. That wasn't always the case. So I actually have a couple of questions, couple ideas, and then some things at the end that kind of got muddy for me at the back part of the policies.
Okay.
First of all, I will say it's a beautiful policy, quite frankly. I wonder what, when we started working on this, has there been any comparison to what other cities' investment policies look like?
You have very short and to the point, like A, B, and C, and
Yeah.
then you have the wordy ones that go on for, chapters. So there is comparison. We did start with, I believe it was Anaheim. We started with Anaheim because they had a lot of diversification, and that was the key that we wanted to, we thought was wise, based on, we don't want to lose money overnight, as the resident just spoke of. So that's where we started and kind of tailored it down, and Villa Parkized it and had a lot out.
Well, once again, it's just it's a beautiful document, and I think it is. And I really appreciate specific members of the Investment Advisory Committee, particularly Bill Nelson. I think I see now that he's actually the chairperson of our Investment Advisory Committee. He engenders a lot of confidence, I think. And I think it was great, of course, when Bob Fautour was on that was a huge loss to our city. And I like the fact that when we're diversifying, we're also diversifying with the issuer, not just, the type of investment. I like that. This is just an idea, and you may just throw this away, but I've often been looking at, the money that we have for VPTV, and we always have at least $10,000. It's just sitting there. Very rarely does it dip below, that number, and it's usually when we've bought something, and I'm like, gosh, you really can't do much with $10,000, but it still could do something. And I'm wondering, and it just could be my ignorance, so, just forgive me, but I'm looking at, on the scope, and it's talking about component units, that we could pool our component units.
We do.
Okay.
We do.
What could VPTV, could chunks of?
It is.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, it already is. It's VPT money is tracked for PEG purposes, because obviously it can only be used for the equipment. But that money is part of the OCIP, LAIF, and now CalTrust money. That's where the money is sitting. So it is earning interest.
Thank you. I did not know that. I never asked the question before, so I appreciate that. My other question has to do with, under the delegation of authority, 3.4, where it talks about all investment personnel shall comply with the reporting requirements of fair political practices and the annual filing of statement of economic interests. Does that also have to do the members of our investment advisory committee also have to do that?
Yes. I pulled that for that reason also.
Okay, so they do.
Precisely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I elaborate
Go on,
that?
please. Go
that?
ahead.
Just
Go right
to make
ahead.
sure, because I asked that, and I want to make sure that what we have in here is what we want.
Right.
And if we have it in here, that we comply with it.
Correct.
So I'm not saying it should be in there or not be in there. It is in there right now, because in 2009 we did it. It's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that our city treasurer files one, and it's filed with the government agency, but the investment advisory committee only files one with the city of Villa Park, and it's just filed in here. Did I say that correctly?
Correct, yes.
Which I quite frankly don't care if they file it at this point, but if you file it, why is it only filed within the city of Villa Park? Because nobody's gonna look at it, nobody's gonna see it. So if we don't want people to look at it, because we quite frankly don't think there's anything there and it's just another form, I don't know why it's a requirement if we're not doing it. And that's just a matter of me looking at the language here, and I call it cleaning up the code.
Is there a legal I would think, is there some sort of legal requirement?
Well, the Fair Political Practices Commission is the state agency that's responsible for conflicts of interest, as you're all aware. And so that is the concern here. Now, generally, the persons that file with the FPPC are officers of the city. So the council, I file one, Jared files one. But when you have a citizen committee that is advising on matters that have a financial impact on the city, it's a prudent course of action to file Form 700s for those persons as well. So,
but to file it means to file it with the government agency. They're filing it just with the city, and it goes into a file cabinet.
So we can have them filed with this. They can be filed with the FPPC.
I'm bringing it up for discussion because this was revised in 2009, so I wasn't on this when it was revised. You're on the investment advisory committee. Maybe you can.
The FPPC doesn't want to hold the files for us, so they designate us as the local filing agency.
Okay.
It's the 87-200 files or the 82-700 filers. Those are the city council, myself, the city attorney, and I believe the city treasurer. Those are the only ones that the FPPC wants to see. So we keep the copies of those and send the originals up to them in Sacramento, and then we hold the copies here in the same folder that we hold the originals of the IAC.
But just because we are the holder doesn't mean that any member of the committee would be any less subject to the requirements set forth in the FPPC regulations.
I agree.
So,
and I guess I didn't understand that because the way it's written, to me, I was thinking that they had to file it with the state because it's not clarified. So,
right.
And that's okay.
Do you need some clarification to make you feel happy? I mean, you're right, this should be cleanup, because I got some cleanup here.
It's just cleanup, and we did it with the city code when we were looking at it, and as long as we're gonna approve this document, I read it, thoroughly and wanted to make sure that what's in here, that we comply with it.
First of all, we appoint those people, and I think that we're appointing people of honorable people.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But it's still, as she said, it's prudent and it's good policy, and that's what we're passing this policy. And it doesn't matter where the document's held. If there should ever be a question, we've got it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to keep moving then. I'm going to move on then to page 5, which is the Investment Advisory Committee. There was a point in time where we had some questions about how many people should be on our investment advisory committee. We had some alternates because we had several people that had applied, and we wanted everybody to feel included. And I just want to know, how did that thing sort itself out? Do we have a set number that should be members of our investment advisory committee? 5, 10, what is it?
7.
7 is the number?
7 is the magic number.
But I see that we have 5 community members.
Right.
So Up to 7 is what you're saying.
Right, up to 7. And what every year we open it up and it's put on the e-net, it's put on for, the seats are available. But we don't have a lot of volunteers.
Appointments are made in typically the December, January council meetings, so we'll advertise it in November, December.
Okay. I just wanted to know how that
Ongoing
had sorted
notice.
itself out.
Right.
That goes out to all the residents in what fashion?
On the e-network, it's on the website. If the Orange County Register picks it up, they'll put it in the local scan. I guess I could work with Brian Couchman and put something in the Villa Park Magazine as well this year.
Yeah, just to make sure everybody in town is aware of it.
I think that would be a great idea to make better use of that Villa Park Magazine, because everybody gets that, and it's free. Do you have a question?
We like questions. We like questions.
Would you like to apply?
Does-
No.
I have a question though. To be on that committee, is it a requirement that they are a resident of the city?
This is something you asked the other day, and
did.
it's a policy decision of the city council, essentially.
Okay, because it's not in here. Doesn't say it.
I think that they definitely.
The question arose as there's a current member who's a resident of Yorba Linda. They're a former resident member of the city of Villa Park. However, they have since moved.
I see.
The question came up before we appointed, the individual is Stephen Pollock.
Yes.
I have to look at the dates. I was trying to piece it together, but I believe this came up the last time we appointed him, which was December of 12 or January of 13, prior to his 2-year appointment, and council decided to reappoint him anyways.
At that time, he lived here.
He lived
Yeah,
here.
and I think that
Yeah.
we might just want to put something in here that says if we have an exception, that we have we have to do something, because it might open up, you never know.
I agree.
Somebody from,
I agree.
I don't know,
I agree.
Santa Margarita might want
I
to come in and be
agree.
our treasurer. It's not going to happen, but now that I said it, it might, I'm not saying we shouldn't appoint anybody from outside, but I think we need to have something here that says maybe we got to go next step.
Well, particularly when you look at this, it says resident appointee, or I think that's the wording. Resident member. And so if they're not a resident, right off the bat, there's some, confusion, and I think confusion is bad. And I honestly think that they should be members of the community. They have a greater interest in ensuring the financial survival than an outsider would. I agree. I think it should be stated clearly in our investment policy that members of the Investment Advisory Committee should be residents.
I could agree with that, but I think we need an out, because we might have a resident who retires and moves to a smaller lot.
Yeah, you
They
need
don't
an
need
out.
that, but so we need it. I agree with it, but I think we need an out, and somebody maybe who's been, around for 40 years.
I think it needs to be correctly identified.
Yeah.
If they're not a resident anymore, that's fine, but they can still be on this committee. A member of this committee, and as long as the city council approves it, then it's fine. It's
Yeah.
only a 2-year term,
I
right?
agree with that.
There's plenty of wiggle room here, I think.
Yeah, if we could work on that wording somewhere.
And find and replace the term resident member with just member. All appointments are confirmed by the city council.
Correct.
So
Can we
that
at
would be
least
the
say,
out.
can we at least say preference will be given to Villa Park residents? Can that be stated
Megan?
when we're talking about, who serves on this committee?
Yeah, and one thing that some cities do when they're considering city advisory committees is to have a mandatory number of residents and then have one position or 2 positions available for especially in the investment capacity, where if you had someone that has some heightened level of knowledge that you would want on the advisory committee that's not a resident, you sort of have designated slots for those people. And then the remainder of the slots could be designated for residents. So that's another possibility.
Yeah, because the
Let's
committee
keep it
having
simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, but
Yeah.
when I look at our treasurer, I would want the treasurer, who actually is singled out from the committee, because he signs the document. I believe the treasurer needs to be the
A
resident
resident.
on the
That's a
committee.
completely separate thing,
Yeah,
though.
Yeah, it's different.
issue.
But, yeah, it's a separate issue. On the committee, you're right. But we do, I think it just, the words need to be cleaned up.
Something about, you know, those that are appointed. I would say 5 out of 7, but since we don't even have the full 7, should be residents. I think that it should be stated that preference for appointment will be given to residents who reside in Villa Park. Applicants who reside in Villa Park.
Certainly,
I
and that's
really think
something-
that needs to be stated.
That is something that we can certainly add to page 5 in section 8.
Thank you.
And they should also be noted how much salary they get for this as well.
At the beginning, yeah.
14-point bold font.
14% of nothing. Okay.
All right, sorry. Now I have a question on page 6 under A, where it talks about, you know, we're talking about authorized financial dealers and institutions, and it talks about nationally recognized independent rating service. Does that apply to CalTrust?
Yeah, well, yes, it does. The part of an investment, the policy, there's like different areas that are required to be honed in on. Okay, you got to make sure that, you know, Standard & Poor's, if it's an investment instrument, that it's rated above A, you know, A or above. And that's, again, for security reasons, for stability and safety, and that's our primary focus. So there's different avenues. The code specifically states that, I think it's in 6759, or I believe, that states that joint powers authorities, which is CalTrust, and it is approved, those are institutions in which we can invest with. So it specifies in different parts of the code. This is for 10.1 is talking about that the institution advisors that we go with, like Wells and Union, that are investing in securities, that you can have a multiple of securities. You can have reverse repurchase agreements. We can't do those. You know, we've stated that, but they're allowed to do them. So it's, I don't know if I'm making any sense or if I'm answering your question, but it is a, we're stating that they're the requirements that we have to meet, and if we don't meet those, they're not a prudent investment or allowable investment.
But CalTrust meets those.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's
yeah. It's stated in the, I think it's 65. I don't have it memorized. Sorry. 6509.7 of the government code.
Okay.
Specifically states that it is an allowable institution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. Page 7.
That was a wordy one.
Under 10.6, we see a reference to Appendix B and Appendix C. I have Attachments A and Attachments B. So either they're an appendix or they're an attachment, and they should be.
Okay.
These are you know, certificates of understanding with brokers or
Right.
institutions. So if we could just have them be one or the other.
You got it.
Either they're attachments or they're appendix, I don't care which.
Okay.
But and then they should be A and B. And then that needs to be corrected in the body of the documents. I'm sorry to be such a stickler
No, it's
right
good.
now, because I was looking all over the place and wondering why there was no Appendix A. Then I couldn't find any of it. I'm like, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next page. 8. 12.2, types of investments, bonds issued by the city or agencies of the city. And I know later on you say we don't use that. I'm sorry, I'm on page 8.
But you said 12.2?
It says 12.2, at the very top, the very first thing in the box.
11-2?
I'm
11.2.
sorry. I am
Okay.
so sorry.
No, it's fine. I just couldn't find 12.2.
Okay, see, this is how it happens.
Right? They
So-
start to look all together. I
I'm
agree.
sorry. So we've never done anything like that.
You know, part of the investment policy and the broad thinking of investments is to allow what is allowable, give it restrictions, but don't say you can't, because it is an allowable investment under the government code. We are allowed as a government agency to invest in it. We've gone back and forth. We never invest in that. Why do we have it in there? Well, maybe someday we might. But
Issue bonds, the city of Villa Park.
No, this.
Bonds issued by the city or agency of the city.
Right. Okay.
Help me understand that.
Yes, it is an authorized investment. Yes, it is. It is, but, I mean, council has approved it in the past. We've never done it. It's, if this council pleases that they don't want it in there, they can take it out. It is an allowable form of an investment. And
But-
it is, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it is kind of a little thing that you've bounced back and forth in the
Oh.
investment advisory committee as well.
Absolutely. No, not that they want to invest in it.
No,
but
that
we
they
want to
question
keep-
whether it should be there.
Yes.
And I'm questioning whether it should be there as well.
Right.
Is my point.
But as a matter of policy, they just don't touch that one, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
And
But we keep it there.
An option.
it is an option.
Right.
It is an option.
Then
Not a good option.
Right.
Okay, all right,
Never use it.
all right, very good. I'm fine with leaving it in there, I just wanted to bring it out. On page 12, where it's under 11.15, 1.1, we're talking about LAIF. At the bottom, you still have the 80% instead of the 35%.
Yes, thank you.
Which is now going to be the new maximum that we'll invest with LAIF.
Correct, thank you.
Thank you. And then on page 13, I get a little confused because this entire section is talking about the different types, you know, the state managed and local investment pools, and then we start talking about those that are with the county treasurer, which is a Orange County investment pool. You've yet greened out 1.2, but yet the entire discussion underneath that is in fact about the Orange County investment pool.
Right.
And then you stick it back over here. I just got really confused.
Okay. What we were trying to do is in the investment advisory committee is that we had the ordering down, and it was confusing and was recommended to figure out a way, but I had a question mark in my notes stating that I think what I want to do,
Yes.
and if this is probably what you were thinking as well, is keep the 1.2, start renumber the B through H, I
Yes.
think,
Yes.
as its own section just for OCIP.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm talking
Okay.
about.
All right.
And then you take it out later on where you've got it again, because then we start talking about Cal Trust, which is your 1.3.
Right. Right.
Okay. I have one question.
Yep.
Now I can't remember. I said, what does this mean? I'm back now on page 16. I'm glad you see it the same way I did that other thing, because it really
Yeah.
got confusing.
No, it did.
It could be not confusing, which
No,
I appreciate.
exactly.
18.0, investment of certain city securities.
Well, what page?
On page 16.
16? Okay.
This is my last thing, you'll be glad to know.
Oh, it's fine. Where are you reading?
18.0, the very first paragraph, while the city does not currently or intend to issue securities that would fall under this particular set of guidelines, the framework is provided in the event this section becomes part of this policy. And my question is, what does that mean? And I think it kind of goes back to what I had questioned earlier on.
Right. The government code is a lot broader. So you can invest in, let's say, 100 things. Villa Park tames it down and says you can invest in 20 things. Of those 20 things, Villa Park actually invests in 4 things. So it's saying that if we were ever to go down that road, we would have to revise our policy because we have stipulations already in here that kind of restrict us, even though they're allowable investments. Does that make sense? It's that
Okay.
they're allowable, but we're saying we're not going to do it here. But if we choose to do it, then we will have to revise our policy in order to invest in them.
Okay, thank you. I'm now finished. Thank you very much for answering my questions and for your attention.
Well, I just found another one. So.
What?
That's why we go through this. It's okay.
Exactly.
The
See,
40
I read it way too many times.
40% under Cal Trust? No?
No,
on.
on 16, the bottom, it says, and the assistant city manager. It needs to be the city
Oh.
manager and designate.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, nothing big, but.
I already discussed the issues that, that I had, but I think at this point, I don't want to approve this until I see the changes on this. So this, you know,
There are
come
a
back,
lot.
there's a lot,
There's
just
a
come
lot.
back and clean it up, and I don't think there's any immediate need at this
No
point.
rush.
There's no rush. So now that you know that we've kind of looked at it, we might even see a few more things when you review it.
I would
Bring it
agree
back
with
to us
that.
if that's okay. And then take it back to the investment committee too. They might look at it in a different light at that point too.
Good idea.
I would
Yeah.
go ahead and say though that, you know, that there are others on the council that agree that perhaps, you know, the whole idea of city issued bonds is, you know, not something that should even be there. I really don't. Once you put something there, the odds of it happening are good, and I just think it's a bad idea, but, did you have something?
No, just
I
move
will go,
move this to next month.
I would, can we go ahead and make a motion to continue it to next month?
I'll make a
Is
motion.
that what you want?
Second, let's move,
Oh,
yeah.
Aye.
Okay,
Perfect.
we're good. All right, we're on to new business. We have here, all right, the sewer master plan to approve the design of fiscal year 14-15 sewer improvement. Akram, you're up.
All right, we got a small presentation to update you on the sewer master plan that was completed last year. And bear with us here for a second. Yep.
The lights, please.
There we go.
All right. The city, as all of you know, that the city has approximately 29 miles of sewer lines in the city. They operate on gravity, and most of the pipelines ranges from sizes from 8 inches to 15 inches in diameter. The majority of them are 8 inches. And in addition, in between, there's the manhole structures that connect those sewer lines at the intersections or every time the line changes direction. Also, we have one pumping facility, which is the Sycamore pump that serve approximately 200 feet within that area. Okay. This map shows our facilities, and you see some of the sewer pipeline and sewer trunks, which are in different colors, and also there are some areas where it shows the outside sewer lines outside the city in the surrounding city of Orange, in that area.
I'm
Next.
sorry, Akram, what's the basin boundary? What the heck is that?
Well, okay, it is mainly kind of like a defining certain area where it has a special flowing area. So it's connected into one area, and it's divided in either in difference in grades and so on. So we call it as a basin.
Okay.
Call it as a district if you want, you know, but for sewer practices, we call it as a basin because most of the sewer flows from that area into a certain direction, into a certain trunk to the outside.
Thank
Kind of like a watershed.
Yes, watershed, more or less for
thank
water
you.
that. Okay. Well, what is the purpose for updating the sewer master plan? The last update that we had is in 2002, and normally every 7 years really needs to be updated. There was a Norris Trepke. They did also a modeling in 2009, and the civil source took that information to utilize it and also to update the master plan to verify that there is what deficiencies are in the sewer lines, and also to develop a 7-year capital improvement program for the sewer in order to maintain it and to keep it up to the standards and to make sure that the sewer lines have the necessary capacity for the projected flow of the future. And this is also the master plan would help us to develop, to manage and operate and maintain the sewer system that we have. In this way, in order to prevent any overflow in the system or have any problems with that. Okay? Now, there are different criterias of calling what's deficiency. One of the ones which is the capacity deficiency, and those are pipes that have flow more than half of the diameter, okay? And mainly those are for pipes that are 18 inches or less. So normally you want to have the flow in the pipe, the maximum flow, that should not exceed half of it, okay? Now with pipes that is 18 inches or greater than 18 inches, it allows the flow to go over 3/4 of the diameter because it has a more capacity and it can accept more. Other deficiencies is when the velocity of the flow in the pipe is less than 2 feet per second, and that's mainly if there is happens when you have a roots, preventing the flow from flowing properly, or there is, and normally we can, clean it out, and also in some of the areas where we have old clay pipes, that's, you try to replace them with PVC in order to have a more, less friction coefficient in there and allow the sewer to flow more freely.
The roots don't penetrate the PVC, right?
It's less than that because it does not have normally the clay would crack.
Cracks, yeah.
And any small crack, roots will go inside in there. That's why a lot of the places where there is a clay, instead of replacing them, you reline them to prevent from any roots from getting inside. Okay, this map shows some of the existing capacity deficiencies, and I know it's kind of hard to see it properly, but there are, the red ones, which is there is more than 1/2 of the diameter is it's full, is in other words deficient, and then the other color is more than 3/4 in some of the areas. It doesn't mean that we need to come in and replace all these pipes, but at least we're aware that those pipes at some times we need to look at it and also keep monitoring it in order to make sure that it does not reach a capacity that it's plugged and it cause a backup in the sewer system and so on. Okay. Next one is this is we've as I mentioned, Norris Rebke, the previous engineers, they did a modeling for the system, and they've projected in the future that there is some deficiencies in there, and those we will be also monitoring very carefully and making sure that we would not, we will correct those deficiencies as we go in the future. But those are the modeling, and that's based on the whole city is fully developed. We have everything is occupied and so on, and everybody is utilizing their sewer to its capacities, to its maximum. Okay.
Now I noticed there's parts of Orange in these maps, and I asked Jared about this. I said, because we're interconnected with Orange, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. Our trunks is connected with Orange, and it flows also to the.
And some of theirs flows through us for portions of.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And that's part of the modeling, is taking that in consideration also. Okay? Now, how did we do the update of the master plan? One of the things which we did in order to assess the conditions of the existing pipelines, we did hire a specialized company to video the whole system. Okay? And with that video, it was, we looked at every video to see where are the cracks, where are the displacement of pipes, where the actual pipe, how much it's full, its capacity, if there is any water or sewage is kind of like as we've seen in some of the last year project on Lincoln, so on, where we had actual sewage was standing in the pipe. That means it's not flowing properly and so on. So those are the things which is looked at in those video, and from the inspection of that database that we got from the video, we were able to grade and assess all the sewer pipelines in the system that they were videoed. And from there were some priorities put in to replace or rehabilitate or improve the conditions of these pipes. And from that, we came up with a 7-year rehabilitation plan, and mainly, as we were saying, is we were grading them, and we kind of like graded them from 1 to 5. 1 is excellent condition. 5, it requires an immediate attention. That means, the worst scenario is that the pipe is broken and there's a leak in there. Those would require immediate action right away and so on. Now, number 5 and 4, approximately, we've kind of like did rough cost estimate on that, and it comes out to approximately $2.1 million to repair those sections.
Repair, you're just talking about where we go in and,
No, it varies. The repair, it changes depending on the how severe the deficiency, or how severe the cracks or the displacement and so on. If it's minor cracks, then we can reline it. Other places, we have to excavate and replace the actual pipe. We did some replacement last year on Santiago. We did on Lincoln, some of those sections. And at the same time, we did several hundred feet of relining, where we were able to reline it and get a good results from that.
when you're saying $2 million worth of projects that are, we used to call it high priority, like almost emergency. That's what it was when this whole thing was first laid out. But you're calling it immediate attention or poor. So you've given it a grade. That's kind of nice. Are you saying that the $2 million worth of work that are 5 and 4 category priorities
High priority.
are over the 7-year span?
Yes. Okay. Yes, we did it over 7 years. Those are higher priority that need replacement.
Replacement.
Or relining. Or relining, either one. And we broke it into 7 years. Yes.
If you take a category 5 here and then you fix it, what's the lifetime of that remediation there?
Normally it should last, sewer lines should last 30 years.
80 years?
30.
30?
Yeah, or longer, as long as it is maintained, it's clean. You're, from time to time, you're checking to make sure that there's no roots are, growing in there and so on. And because the more roots you grow, the more the cracks, is gonna become bigger.
Displacement, cooling, all sorts of stuff. Okay.
But there is these, the sewer in the city they were built in 2000, let me, I think
2000?
I had it.
2000?
No, they were.
No, 1960s, in the 1960s. So,
You're saying relining lasts 30 years?
I'm sorry?
When you're talking about the lifespan of a piece of pipe, you're talking relining lasts 30 years?
Relining, if it is the pipe, yes,
Okay.
it lasts a long
And
time.
replacement lasts how long?
It's about the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Relining, it's more or less, it becomes a kind of a thick PVC, becomes as a thick PVC inside the existing pipe. So it seals all the cracks that are in there.
But you clean it out first, right? You rotor the whole
Definitely,
thing out.
definitely has to be
But
clean.
your 8-inch pipe is no longer,
And-
not quite
Yeah,
inch.
it's
Kind of
not as
reminds me
big.
of the halls of the Pentagon. They painted it so many times, the 10-foot walls are now only 9-foot hallways. So you can only do this so many times.
Yes, no, 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 no. Normally you don't do it more than once.
You can only do it so many times.
Correct, yes.
You know,
Otherwise,
okay.
you're gonna lose the
Yeah.
capacity of the pipe. itself.
Exactly.
You do it only once for relining.
Okay, only one time,
Okay.
got it.
And this is you see the exhibit and the map, it shows the various different grading, you know, from 1 to 5. And this shows here on this one, which is, yes. And it shows here, you know, the colors shows the areas where grade 5, 4, 3 different colors and so on, that we feel that there is some deficiency. The green ones is, you know, means good. Overall, the sewer lines are in good condition, but there are some areas where it need some work. And the next exhibit, and this is what we've taken all the areas that need some improvements and try to spread the rehabilitation or the improvement projects over the next 7 years. Now, it all depends on the availability of the funds and what after we do a more detailed analysis on each pipe that needs some attention, then we shift some of those projects from 1 year to another and so on. But this is as an overall of the 7-year project list that we'll be doing. We did 1 year already we completed, which is we did Lincoln, and you know the story of
Yeah, we sure
what
did.
we've
But, so
You know.
all of the projects that were projected to need to be done in 2013, this pretty purple color, they were all completed?
The majority of, not all of them. We did but that's the thing. It all depends on the funding, and also how much can we do from there.
Did we spend all the money we allotted?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but we didn't get it all done.
Not completely all of it. Yes. We did as I said, a big portion of it, and next year we are looking into, or this year, we are looking into doing a few other projects, and which is listed in the report, the agenda, and we will be doing more analysis and design on those projects to determine what is the proper improvement that we need to do, either replacement or relining. And the budget that we have is a total of $550,000, and so we will be doing projects to fit in the budget.
Now, I gotta ask,
Yes.
do you start at the higher elevations, or you do the ones lower, since they're gonna all drain into the lower ones? Do you start with those first?
It's not a question of upper or lower, is which projects that we feel that it's necessary to do it right away. Those are the ones. And also, if there are some pipes that if we come in and do some improvement right now, we can save them by relining versus wait few more years.
More prudent to do it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And come in and replace it. So it's as long as we know, even though some of the you might see some pipes that has a level of 4, which means 4 or 5 that we need to do an immediate. We might be able to delay it another year because, you know, either we're doing a longer stretch on that street, or we want to make sure that we get it coincided with a street project, because we don't want to
That's
to
one of
pave
my,
a street.
that's one of my big
then-
red marks on here,
Yeah.
is ensuring that we do this and
Yes.
hold off on the street if we know we've got to, you
Correct.
know,
Yes.
and 5 years for sure.
And
You know,
that's
if a
the
road's
intention.
been done and we rip it up 2 years later, that's wrong.
Even like, for example, if you notice, even though in the list we have Fitchin.
Yes, I circled
However,
that.
And I've, you know, I made it clear for the consultant is that, okay, I want you to analyze it and look at what kind of improvements that is necessary. But if it requires, you know, if we cannot do it by relining without excavating the street, we want to be able to see if we can delay it, because that street was repaved
Thank you.
2 or 3 years ago.
That's
So
something
yes,
I had marked up.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
some of those, yes. That's one of the things which is, I like to coordinate them as much as possible with all together. Like, for example, Lincoln Street, I would like to do the rest of Lincoln so we can, in the next 2 years or so, we can come in and pave it, be ready for paving, because we would have done all the sewer projects that necessary on that street.
Are there any storm sewers, things that are connected with this, or doing it at the same time?
No, it's the storm drains are completely separate from the
I
sewer.
know they're separate,
They're
but I
not-
mean,
yes.
but if there's work that needs to be done on them in the same
If there is,
area.
okay, but we have a limited number of sewer lines, storm
sewer.
lines in the city.
Okay.
That's one thing, which is, if we need to start to do a major storm drain, it is gonna require a lot of funding for that. And then that's probably might require selling bonds in order to build those. I'm just.
Better wait till after December,
I'm just.
because I'll be voting no.
No, I'm just.
I don't think we want to touch the storm sewer anyway. They'll make us put in a treatment plant.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
As soon as you change something, then you have to get up to the new code, and the new code is an
Next.
unreasonable reach.
I have a question. This rating thing.
Yes.
Is it the same for Villa Park as it is for Anaheim or Stanton or someplace like that?
Well, it's a.
Or Yorba
it is-
Linda?
It's similar. There is a standards that we follow by the Orange County Sanitation District.
Okay.
It has the same criteria. That's what we follow.
I just
we
wondered
follow.
if the consultants know that we're more likely to do it if we think it's bad condition, whereas, you know, other cities may push it off even further, because we don't want any backups in town, that's for sure.
Definitely,
So-
definitely. That's why, my intention, I want to fix as much of the sewer that needs some improvements or some kind of, treatment before causing any of that. Like, for example,
We have some right now. don't
even
we?
though Rosano is not on the list, however, because we've been having a lot of issues
It's happened
with that.
twice now, right?
Yes.
In 2 weeks.
And so we're gonna come in and analyze it and see what we can do in that in order to prevent that backup that's been happening.
But it's, what's the rating on Rosenau? I see it on the list.
The portion of it, it is on the list, but we're doing the whole analysis. I've asked them. Let's see. Yes.
Oh, just
The bottom part.
But the way that it flows is supposed to build up.
Where are we? So yeah, there's a portion of it. It is a grade 4. I think. Yes. From Villa to Valley, that portion is it's 4. So we're looking at it to look at it from the cul-de-sac all the way to the end, so we can see.
That's a lot.
I mean, the intention is we don't want just to do one small section. You know, let's look at the line, see what is causing it to have a deficiency on one side. Why is it backing it up? And if we can take care of it at the same time, we will do it.
One thing that I kind of had wanted to see, because we've been at this for a number of years now, and other than 2013, which you can see what we've completed in 2013, there's nothing that shows us what has all been done.
I've tried to go back to the old reports and so on. It is, I had some difficulties to come in. There are lists of the project and so on, but I was, unless I go back to some of the videos and see how far, what kind of a stretch that they went and do that, so, and go back to the old plans and so on, it was difficult. So we said, okay, we have a complete video of the streets, and here's what we have, also our assessment. From here, we're gonna start building a history.
Okay, thank you.
So, from that.
Yes, we did lose some history there, and I'm not even sure if it was well
But,
documented to
you know,
begin with.
at
Yeah.
least, even though we might not have the records properly done for the old history, but we have a good record of the videos. That's one thing which is, it's really, it's.
Thank you,
We
Akram.
started something good.
Thank you,
Okay.
Akram.
Now, we took the budget that we have, which is approximately $500,000, and we kind of like broke it down over the 7 years. What is the improvements that we're going to be doing, you know, and also we've allotted some money for capacity improvements. Those are the areas where, as I said, either more than more than 3/4 or more than 1/2. So we allotted, so we kind of like build a, let's say, a reserve if we need, so we can upgrade those. And then we have the maintenance, which we do on a regular basis. Every year, we clean half of the city system, you know. So in other words, every other year, that pipes are being cleaned from any grease.
Yeah, they're doing that right now on Alice, aren't they?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so every year we do half of the city, you know, so to make sure that there's no root balls or roots or anything in the pipes.
No, they're using the water from the fire hydrants, correct?
They fill it, they have their machine, I mean, their trucks and
truck.
so on, but they use yes, they fill their trucks.
They got some
from
add
that.
they have
Yes.
to have to it, okay.
Yes.
And then just to be clear, we've got designated reserves of this. How much are we putting it away for the, every 7 years we run the cameras through? Is that how it's working?
Yes. Yeah, it's the intention is that we should be updating the master plan every 7 years and do a video to make sure to assess the conditions of the pipes, if there is any other.
The master plan's based on the videos, right?
Yes,
That's one
based on
component,
the video,
okay.
yes.
So, but the reason I asked this, when the sewer usage fee was passed, put in place, it was clear that all it was going to be spent when you don't see it all being spent, there needs to be an explanation for that. Now, there is in the budget designated reserves for the camera. And then what I heard you just say was that you might be building up money for capacity improvements.
Well-
That you might not be able to do capacity improvements that need to be done, so you might build up a few years. So then once again, if that is going to be the case, then that also needs to be laid out, that this is designated for capacity improvements, future capacity improvements, so that people see that, yes, every single penny that's coming in on their sewer usage fee that they've been paying now is being allocated accurately and properly. And so if that ends up being what Akron's plan is, then you need to get another line item to.
It is. It's we have currently it's your fund balance in your sewer fund specifically, because that's where all your revenue goes.
Right.
Whatnot. And so we have the designations, and then we have like we had a carryover from last year because we didn't use all of the money we thought we were going to use. So now it's bumped up. Normally, 300,000 is what we were supposed to use. I mean, that's what they budgeted based on their plan. But as you said, we have 500. And
Right.
50, I think, is what we have budgeted for this year.
520, I thought.
520?
Yeah.
Close. But yeah, so that money is specifically used only for sewer improvements. And it is. We have money set aside for CCTV coming up, in 5 years now. Is it? We've already done 2?
Yes, it'll be
in 5 more years. So we're setting aside money for that and another sewer master plan, like he's talking about, update.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure we'll spend every penny to improve the sewer lines.
Yeah.
That's a given.
If you don't have to spend it, you don't have to spend it.
No, I
You
mean,
don't have to spend it.
but we'll make sure that the sewer lines are in a condition that flowing all what's
No
in the
problems.
flow. All right?
So what we need tonight then is we're gonna be approving hiring Civil Source to manage.
Its civil source is to prepare the plans and specification for this year's sewer improvement, projects.
At $35,124.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move.
Second. Has to be.
Can we just make sure we don't have any public comment?
I went over this with Jared, and I didn't.
Public
we
comment.
don't.
Oh, we don't have
We
to?
don't need to have
Public comment on
comment,
public.
so that's
Public
why I
comment
didn't-
on all agenda items.
Okay. Public comment. None being heard? Public
Got a
comment is
motion
closed.
on the
We
floor?
got a motion on the floor?
Motion is to approve the consultant services agreement with Civil Source for the design of fiscal year 2014 sewer improvement project. Councilman Mills.
Yes.
Councilman Reese.
Yes.
Councilman Holland.
Yes.
Yes.
Please, Deanna, quickly. Did you notice that the reporter who covers, Villa Park, I put in the scan that we were looking at $35,000 worth of sewer improvements?
Was that in today's paper?
I can't remember if it was today's or yesterday's.
pretty good
Could
at
you
reporting
please
fast.
notify the reporter that we give her the accurate number?
Ms. Keel gets lots of things wrong.
Ms.
Yeah, they
Keel,
always do.
well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make any further comments, but could you correct her?
Media jacked up.
When I read that, I thought, what? And I won't even say what I said.
Is in Santa Ana.
Okay, well, we're on to mayor and council member matters. We have item number 9. I think everyone had a letter stuck up here. This is a letter in opposition to OCFA's pension obligation legislation. And we asked Jared to put a little meat into this. And this is for our review before the mayor signs it. Is that correct? Okay. And the mayor has reviewed this, correct?
Looks good to me. I checked it.
The one change that I would note, and Chief Conception, you may help me out with this one, is as I was reading the report from the county CEO Legislative Affairs Office, I believe it was proposed by the Orange County Professional Firefighters Association.
Yes.
Okay.
It was what?
Proposed the legislation in the letter. we have written that it was proposed by the Orange County CEO Legislative Affairs Office.
Which is not the case.
Which is not the case. It is, so I will switch that to the Professional Firefighters Association. That was my mistake, and I just caught it when reading the memo from the CEO's office to the Board of Supervisors. It's my understanding as well that this item was, let me pull it up here, continued to a September meeting of the Board of Supervisors, and then they also gave direction that the CEO brought in the intent of the legislation to include agencies that might withdraw services provided by the Sheriff's Department as well. So we'll see what happens in September. But with your approval,
The mayor's happy with it, and he's sending, and he's signing it, you know. Do you need a motion of some sort?
Let's take some public comment first.
Well, nobody's seen it, so what are they gonna comment on?
this was on the website.
Letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also in the binder up here on the counter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for your public, seeing none, we'll bring it back here. So is there a motion with that change put into the letter?
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we are on individual council member information. Members, and we can start with Mr. Mills.
I'll start. First of all, I hope you all have seen the control boxes at the 4 intersections that we own in town. There, I think 3.5 of them are done. The one at Lemon is not quite complete yet, but it's getting there. I think they all look pretty nice. It's an improvement from the dusty, musky-looking green and grays that we've had in the past, all the control boxes. So I've had people I've asked them about, and they've seen them. They didn't know why they were done, but they are being done. So I think it worked out okay. Some of the artists I know, as you know, Jared, Andy asked you if she could get in touch with those artists, and you don't. And have you found the references for those guys yet?
I found the references for all but one. Still waiting on one contact.
Okay.
We have the mailing address. They were in Tyler's files, and I'm trying to get a hold of Tyler up in Wyoming to find out where he snuck that last phone number.
You may never hear from him.
Never
That
hear.
was
I don't know if they have cell service up there.
That was a great idea you had. I have heard nothing but positive.
Yeah.
Good.
Positiveness
They
from
look
that.
good.
That
That's
was to the CDC, and I think that worked out well for us. The other thing, of course, I went to Vector Control last week. They were supposed to have sent a video about the dangers of pooled water and these new little mosquitoes that are coming over in tires back and forth from Asia, and these things have some very nasty diseases that they will spread amongst us. That's what they call them, a vector. They're just a vehicle in between people and animals and vice versa. And that was supposed to arrive, but it didn't arrive today, so we couldn't put that up here. It's like the 3-minute video that we can put on the website too, for Vector Control, which is actually mosquito and Vector Control. They're going to start calling it because nobody knows what vector is still today. There's also a lot of action over there with regards to spending $25,000 to have an exhibit put into the Children's Museum in Santa Ana. And there's things back and forth that it may or may not happen, so I'll just stay tuned on that. Plus, last week we also had a Villa Park Community Services Foundation meeting. The next movie night will be the 22nd of August at Serrano School. And we'd like to thank Holly Banting and Andy for their leadership on that. Also, we have the concert in the Villa Park. It will be at the amphitheater here at the high school on Friday, August 8th at 7 p.m. with the celebration of Three Dog Night, 60s and 70s music. The Halloween Fest will be, of course, as usual, on the 30th of October. Always here, whatever date that falls on. They have the Dog Adoption Day will be the 4th of October. And let's see here. We also have the renewal for the insurance coverage for all those events, which Jared will be quite aware of as well. And the foundation also thanked the city council for their continued support, as well they'll probably send us a thank you for the $6,000 check we got tonight for them. And that is it.
Which they give us that 6,000, the VP disposal gives us that $6,000 check, or the foundation that check, as part of the contract, correct?
Correct.
And that continues to increase by CPI as well. So inadvertently, or one way or another, the ratepayer actually ends up paying for it. So that's how I see that. But it's just lovely that we got some of the residents' money to give to the foundation by funneling it through VP disposal. That's what I'll say about that. Okay, now, I just have a couple of things. First of all, this is the beginning of the new fiscal year, the first time we see our city council's travel and expense report. So last year, every council member was well under their budget for what each council member is allowed to spend, and the mayor gets a little bit more. And so this year, we've reduced the budget for each council member to only spend $1,000 a year to attend all the meetings that they attend to cover the cost of those meetings. So I just think that, I think the residents should be aware of just what a great job the council member does for zero money, and we're very cautious even about what we spend of taxpayer dollars to attend those meetings in support of and to help educate ourselves through the course of the year on important issues. I have 3 issues I want to bring to your attention. This one I'm bringing to your attention because, well, there's no other way for me to do it without violating the Brown Act, and so I'm doing it in open forum. But it was brought to my attention by a constituent who had some concerns about whether or not the city of Villa Park accepts any HUD dollars. We don't, but I bring it to your attention to illustrate, if you will, the hidden risks of accepting federal monies. In 2013, July of 2013, the Obama administration quietly introduced a new regulation that increases Washington's power over local zoning laws in every city and town that accepts federal block grants through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And if you accept those dollars, if you are a municipality that has accepted those dollars through a block grant, they can force you to take in and house illegal immigrants or anything else to their choosing. So I bring it forward. I have this report, and I'm going to make it available to Jared to share with the rest of the council. It was published in WorldNet Daily. Not everybody pays attention to this, but money is never free. When you're accepting federal dollars, strings can be attached, and they can be attached down the road that further lessens our autonomy to function as a city. So I just think that it's an important thing for us to pay attention to. I'm going to make this available to you, Jared, to share with the rest of my council colleagues. On June 30th, I went to the special meeting of the Orange Unified School District's Board of Education, where they voted to place the $297 million school facilities bond measure on the November ballot. I did speak in opposition to it. This is probably the first meeting that the Board of Education actually heard people speak in opposition. Up until that point, they were only hearing from their own choir. And teachers' unions, former teachers, and those that have been trying to get a bond passed for a long time in this area. The only board member that voted against placing it there was Dr. Alexia Delagianni, who had promised that she would never vote to place a bond on the ballot. There were other members of that Board of Education that had promised that they would never place a bond on the ballot. This is one of them who honored it. But what the statements that she made to explain to those in attendance, and it was a packed room, as to why she was not willing to place this bond on the ballot, I just wanted to share with you some of what she said. Was she believed that there was not going to be adequate oversight of expenditures, that fluctuating interest rates might make the bond more expensive when it actually was eventually released, and that architects' drawings that wowed the public were not realistic, which is true. That what has been laid out at each of the high schools is a grand Taj Mahal, and everybody thinks that if they vote yes on the ballot, they're going to get that. But each of those projects is about a $200 million project, And the bond as written will only deliver $74 million to each of those high schools, which means they're going to come back to the kitty at some point in the future. So she's absolutely spot on there. She said that she says that those drawings were based on hopes and dreams, and that we were setting the community up for disappointment, and I think she's absolutely accurate. So you're going to see, that's an opinion, yes it is, but I was there, I spoke, and there were many others, quite frankly, but once again, the lion's share of those that they heard from were those who've been pushing them all along the way to do this. The last item I'd like to bring forward, I've brought forward once before, tried to make it an action item, and it has to do with the business license administrative fee. Administration fee. I've got the June financials, which I love to read. You do an excellent job with those, Michelle. Thank you very much. And I'm looking at the line item on revenue for business license administrative fees, and we took in, I believe this is a total for last year, $27,887 on a budget that was expecting $16,000, so we saw it about $11,000 more, primarily based on the fact that we've increased the business license administrative fee. In the same report, I see that that we have exceeded our annual budget with regard to revenue, unbudgeted revenue to the city of approximately $315,000. Did I get that accurate? Did I get that right? What is that?
I don't have that number in front of me, but yes, and that's predominantly because of our taxes. Based on the assessor, he goes over and gives us the lion's share of what, the increases are going to be for each year. And being that we're Villa Park, we're completely built out. When he says, oh, it's going to go up, 3%, we're not Irvine. It's not going to go up 3% for us. So we always budget usually stagnant, or, if it's going to drop a little or whatnot. So we budgeted our taxes stagnant, and I think over 200,000 of that is specifically taxes.
Secured property taxes.
Right. Well, and delinquents and interest, whatnot. Yes. We also had I believe I'm just going from memory right now, so about an $80,000 increase in sales tax based on a fine that we got from the Board of Equalization that found.
That was a one-time.
It was a one-time fine. Yeah, it was
basically.
basically our money was getting put in the county's pool, and we got a lump sum money. So there's 280. So now, what's the number that you have?
315.
Okay, so it's somewhere around there, and then.
But once the assessment comes in and it's accurate, and I do recognize that when you're setting your budget, you assume flat on what property tax is going to be. That's good conservative budgeting, and I agree with that. But at the time that I was trying to discuss the fact that I thought we needed to do away with the business license administrative fee, because it essentially doubles our business license in the community, or in the city, and it is nothing more than government greed. I was told the entire world was going to come to an end if we did away with this thing, and yet I see that we could easily absorb $35,000 when we are seeing, the end result of $350,000 we didn't think we were going to have, and we're not exactly hurting. I'm just laying that out there because, once again, it would be nice if just once, we saw a tax, because that's what this is, put in place, be removed, since it is not necessary. That's my only comment. I'm not arguing about it. I'm saying it again. Thank you.
Fred.
Had an Orange County sanitation meeting, and we continue with labor negotiations and odor control. No surprise there. New chemicals, and that's it. Thank you.
What's happening with
Wow.
labor? What's happening with
What's
labor
the big stink
negotiations?
over there anyway?
What is happening with labor negotiations?
Well, a lot of it is closed session. They have many bargaining groups, 4 of them, and not much is happening, to be honest with you.
Does the sanitation district have a coin policy in place similar to what the county board of supervisors is looking at implementing?
They are talking about that as we speak, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
that would be a step in the right direction.
Okay, we had a CDC meeting. Some of the issues that we're discussing, school starting on August 20th. There's going to be quite a bit of work done prior to when school starts as far as striping goes to make it easier for the kids to walk to school, ride to school. In addition, for lack of a better word, we'll have a saturation of our sheriff department on the first day of school to make sure that everyone driving into the city drives in safely on the first day. And we will show them that Villa Park is a safe place for their kids to walk and ride their bike back and forth to school. The water continues to be an issue. I invited first the mayor, who was not able to come, and then Brad to sit with Serrano Water District so we can come up with some great ideas for our citizens so that nobody is fined and nobody's grass turns brown. And we're going to continue to work on that and get back to everybody the next month. As far as the art boxes, just to share something funny with you, Greg, is that when discussing the bond with a particular resident came up, for some reason, they were just they felt that, not that the bond had already been passed, but there was already money being spent on the revitalization of the schools, and they attributed that to how pretty the art box across the street was from Villa Park High School. So the school, or USD, got credit for the art box being painted. So
That's good.
I thought that was just wonderful, so I
That's funny.
made sure that I set her straight and told her it wasn't. So sometimes
No.
it just takes a butterfly or two. Seeing that there's nothing else, staff?
Yeah, actually, I do have a couple of reports for you this evening. I believe I reported to you earlier that we have a new street, and I call it To Nowhere, and that is Spartan Way in front of the high school, just to enhance our community spirit.
Did the school pay for that?
The city paid for
Okay,
that
just
one.
want to make sure.
As you know,
What's the length of Spartan Way?
Fairly short.
yeah, fairly short, about 6 feet. The size of the sign.
It's
What
ceremonial.
idea was this?
You know, it's been tossed around for years.
Long time.
A
And you
long
had
time.
extra time on your hands?
Yeah.
It came before us.
It was rather simple. It's been tossed around for quite some time, and finally it's like, let's make it happen. It was fairly
How long
less
till,
than
how long
$500.
till someone
good.
takes it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So does that mean we're going to have Bobcat Way and Eagle Way, and what's the other one? What's CV?
I would have to see. This one is just the ideal location because
Vikings.
it's a T intersection, so I'm not sure if there's any.
Well, you know it's
Sign
coming down the
direct.
pike, and Tiana is spot on. It is
I
going to
have
be.
I have 2 boys that are going to be there in 2 years. You wait. Let's see how long it
Way
takes.
is going to be ranked right up there with Smoke Tree, and you
yes.
might as well just go ahead and buy
Ryan
buy them in
Circle,
bulk.
Park Circle. As you know, it is election season. To date, we've had 3 folks pull papers. Ms. Fasinelli's pulled for re-election. Brad and Deborah, you'll both be termed out of office. Mr. Sanjay J. Katani has pulled papers, and he's asked for all your contact information, so I'm sure he'll be reaching out to you, individually, that is. And then today, Stephen Miller pulled papers, Birgit's husband. Nomination period closes on August 8th, so if anybody's out there listening and wants to pull papers, come on down and see me. City Hall will be getting its new carpet this Friday. So Thursday and Friday we'll be in jeans and t-shirt, shuffling some of the equipment around and finally getting rid of this carpet. I'm interested to see what's underneath it because I'm pretty sure it's bumblebee yellow and looks exactly the same. I'll save a sample for you. When previous city manager Ken Domer and I moved the front counter, we shifted it down about 4 feet to create the saloon door entrance now, and sure enough, it was bumblebee yellow underneath. It was awful. I want to save a sample of that for our.
Maybe you could frame it.
Yeah. For the time capsule. You know.
Yeah.
Maintenance worker 1, Rich Manning, will be out of the office for a month recovering for surgery. He goes in tomorrow. He's expected to be in the hospital for a week, and then he'll have another 4 to 6 weeks of rehab. And then the search for the management analyst position continues. That's all that I have. Anybody else for the greater good?
Okay. Well, with that, we adjourn to our next regular meeting, which will be on Tuesday, August 26th at 6:30. Good night, everyone. Thank you.